Welcome to this lesson on a Western interpretation of the transverse mixed inferior catabolic modalities of the global balance method. The first slide answers the question, why are these modalities labeled transverse mixed inferior catabolic? Next, the principle of using basic nominal sums to label each individual modality within the category is covered in brief, along with a diagram of each modality and its color coding. Finally, all 6 modalities within the category are presented through all 3 nominal sums and both chiral expressions, along with a brief series of notes on the iterative nature of the pedagogy in the context of the chiral expressions. Slide 1, Nomenclature. Why transverse mixed inferior catabolic? In keeping with the spirit of simplicity, there are 2 basic points to remember. First, transverse mixed inferior catabolic modalities treat illnesses across the transverse plane in a manner such that foot best treats hand. Second, the vessels of the modalities in this category are of 2 general types, warming-drying vessels of the hand and cooling-drying vessels of the foot. Of these 2 types, the cooling and drying meridians have the greatest surface area with which to treat conditions on the opposite side, with the ratio of foot channels to hand channels being 2:1. Thus, the transverse mixed inferior catabolic modalities are best used to treat hot conditions by stimulating the more plentiful cooling and drying meridians of the feet to reduce the temperature of those suffering from fevers. For the purpose of reinforcing the academic values given, a reading of the description behind the motives for the nomenclature will be provided here. The caption for the diagram found on the lower left-hand side reads as follows. In the transverse mixed inferior catabolic context, a treatment is applied to the meridians on the inferior side of the transverse axis. The meridians used for treatment are the foot's cooling and drying vessels. Mixed inferior catabolic vessels of the feet are best suited to treat hot conditions, indicated through the warming and drying channels of the hand. The bullet points on the right provide the same information previously given from a slightly altered but entirely equivalent perspective. They are as follows. All axial modalities treat conditions with the side of the axis opposite the side of the indication or injury. Transverse mixed inferior catabolic modes do this best across the transverse plane, using the foot's vessels to treat the hand's vessels. In the transverse mixed inferior catabolic context, the vessels in the inferior situation are both of a cooling and drying nature, but their peak expression occurs during periods approximately 8 hours apart. Mixed inferior catabolic modes of this type are always composed of the foot's cooling drying vessels and the hand's warming drying vessels in a 2:1 ratio respectively. Basic treatments are then achieved by selecting the cooling and drying vessels for their greater surface area and their opposition to specific hot conditions. In general, the modality is named for the difference between the catabolic meridians found within the inferior context. Slide 2, Basic Nominal Sums, Transverse Mixed Inferior Catabolic 24, 28, and 32. The 3 modalities shown here are some of the more common patterns used in treating clinical complaints. Setting the semantics of their physiological expression aside, this material will provide a valid nomenclature useful for categorizing the modes themselves and their orientation within the scope of the global balance method. Proceeding from left to right, the transverse mixed inferior catabolic modalities are composed as follows. Transverse mixed inferior catabolic 24 consists of the liver, colon, and kidney vessels labeled for their nominal equation 2 plus 12 plus 2 plus 8 equals 24. Transverse mixed inferior catabolic 28 consists of the spleen, small intestine, and liver vessels labeled for their nominal equation 6 plus 4 plus 6 plus 12 equals 28. Transverse mixed inferior catabolic 32 consists of the kidney, triple burner, and spleen vessels labeled for their nominal equation 10 plus 8 plus 10 plus 4 equals 32. Slide 3, Chiral Expression. The above diagrams are presented here to complete the exposition of the subject within the context of this particular modality. Understanding the chiral assignment of the left or right to any given mode in the transverse mixed inferior catabolic context is simply a matter of determining on which side of the body a pair of sequential even-numbered channels has been assigned. Greater detail regarding the chiral expression of the imaged axial modalities as a whole will be handled in a separate video.